In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can disable Turbo Boost automatically while you boot up your system. And here I'm using Arch Linux, so I think the process is gonna be very similar. It doesn't matter. Here because we're using System D, so those testers who may not have System D may have different ways to do that. But here we talking about we tester which has System D, so this method must be able to work easily on all distros who are based on System D. So the first thing you have to do is how are we gonna do that? So we're gonna create this file under .dem files.d, and we're gonna name this file, this configuration, disable turbo. You can name it as you wish, but it's more understandable. It requires you to password, and inside that line you have to put this line. And most of this thing is very readable, you understand what we're doing. But this w is that this w means write, and the write to this path, this file, no turbo. And what we're gonna write into it, one. So we're gonna turn on this flag, no turbo flag gonna be turned on, and this gonna cap our CPU, gonna reduce our CPU clock to the base level and doesn't allow it beyond that, so there'll be no turbo boost. And what that minus minus means here, well, these are like fields which we doesn't need to fill. The first thing is our permissions, like mode. The first option is from mode modification, mode option. Second is UID, second is group ID. And these are the options which is generally related to some permissions or grouping. We don't need to change that, we don't have to, we just make it default or whatever it is. And then we put the value that we want to insert it into our file, which is one, which simply means that, okay, put this one into this no turbo file and make our turbo boost disable. Okay, so that's after putting that. Now we just have to, yeah, so the one thing you have to make sure that the systemd file setup service is in running state. It must be active. Generally, I assume that it must be working if you have systemd, but if you can check this, I mean, if it's there, that's fine. But if it's not, then you can simply enable it by changing this option. And yeah, and once you're able to enable it, now all you have to do is to reboot your system. And once you reboot your system, you must, after rebooting system, there's two ways to check whether this option is operational or not. Well, the first thing is to simply output the file, and if it's one, yeah, it means that our configuration is executed. And there's other ways to do that, like you can create a systemd service. But why I choose systemd temp files is because there are first, it is specially designed for doing certain changes into the file, like, and it is always run after system is ready. So this that it will run once the kernel has exposed all the paths, like system proc run. Okay, so it is natively support for writing to the system files. It doesn't need shell, you know. It use low level reliable system calls. You're done with it. All you have to, if you want to check, okay, this guaranteed that your turbo boost is off. But if you want to check that you can do other option like TLP state, and it must be like P. And now there's a second option. Now here you see this, now your CPU, you have to see the CPU and the max frequency, and you have to see the minimum frequency. And then you can actually watch your CPU clock, and you will see that my CPU is not gonna exceed 2.3, like 2.3 gigahertz at any core. So it show you like every core. And my CPU has 8 cores, so it's gonna show me like frequency for 8 specific CPUs. I won't see any CPU is exceeding 2.3 or my base clock. So that means it is effectively implemented. It's not effective in my system, and my system is underclocked. and yeah, so that's it.